In a concrete jungle teeming with artificial nourishment, two individuals embark on a perilous journey to secure a snack. Join us as we observe the remarkable and sometimes dangerous world of vending machine standoffs. Our journey begins, two rival souls venturing into the heart of the metropolitan Elkhorn campus. The first rival approaches the towering sentinel of temptation, the vending machine. His quest for a snack will not be as easy as he originally thought as the second rival also approaches. It's a test of wit, patience, and a battle of attrition. The vending machine offers a bewildering array of options, each with its unique price and challenge. The rivals size each other up, the first showing his fear, the second calm and collected. The second rival approaches the first, narrowing the gap between these two impetuous souls. The first rival is quivering in fear. In an act of haste, the first rival tries to quickly pay for a snack, the machine, unrelentingly bold in its mockery of an easy snack. He tries to insert his bill, unwavering in its quest to make this the most intense vending machine interaction. The machine spits out his bill. He realizes it's a 20. He turns around to meet the gaze of the second rival once more, hunched over in social anxiety. The second rival stands as stoic as a statue, his gaze so piercing it's almost as if he is staring right into the soul of his nemesis. The first rival approaches, he bolsters himself and finds the power to ask for the impossible. "Do you have $1 I can borrow?" The second rival confirms and hands him $1.
When I directed my first show, that's when I was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. And I've been doing it ever since.
Tell us your name and your occupation.
My name is Randall Stevens. I am the producing artistic director for Voices in Alliance, which is Omaha's first identified LGBTQ theater company.
What were some of the challenges that you faced entering the industry?
Well, it's extremely competitive, even in Omaha, which is a non-professional theater town. And then just getting older and realizing I wasn't a dancer anymore.
Let's hear about some of your favorite accomplishments that you have completed in your career.
Getting my master's degree in directing from the University of Memphis was a huge accomplishment. Just I got out of my comfort zone, I left Omaha, and it was an amazing experience.
What made you choose the University of Memphis?
Well, one, it was not Omaha. So I wanted us to get out and meet new people, and they accepted me. It was a 3-year program, and I had a full scholarship or apprentice, or what's the word? I can't remember the word. Apprenticeship, basically.
When did you decide to pursue Voices in Alliance?
Well, I wanted to start my own theater company for a while, and it's all about the timing and about money. But I finally did, it was just the right timing last year, and I announced it on June 1st of 2022 in connection with Pride Month, which is usually Pride Month across the country is June. And there was a lot of positive feedback, and that's what I knew. I did the right thing. I wanted to give something for people to be proud of, and we've never had that in Omaha. That's kind of why I wanted to do that. Now, theater companies have done sort of gay plays, so to speak, but I'm dedicating my mission to doing works that celebrate the LGBTQ+ community, and also casting roles correctly. So if a show calls for a queer or trans character, I'm going to do my best to find a queer or trans actor to fill those roles. I took a sabbatical from theater for about 5 years, and the pandemic hit, but the timing was just right, and I felt there was a need in Omaha theater that was not being met. So last June of 2022, in connection with Pride Month, I announced this is what I'm doing. So we did our first show in the last November. We did a show in June, and now our next production will be next month. And we've been very successful so far, and have people been very positive outpouring from the community.
Okay, now what does the process of choosing a show look like?
Well, it changes daily. I have a stack of scripts like this in my apartment that I'm always looking for. And I have friends who are always sending me stuff. You should look at this. Oh, read this play, read this play. Have you heard this? Sending me links. And so I'm always looking. And then putting together a season is important, so it's all representative of the community.
Tell us about the Rotterdam production.
Rotterdam by John Britton was a British play, and it is about a queer female couple that at the end of the first scene, one of the half of the couple comes out as a trans male. And it's about how they navigate their relationship and what that means, because the other half of the couple who's still a gay woman who's sort of coming out says, well, I like women, but now you're going to identify as a man. How does that, so it's about them figuring it out.
How did the production of Rotterdam affect morality in Voices in Alliance?
Oh, it was awesome. It was a four-person play, and they knew they were part of something special because it was our first show ever, and I had these 4 amazing people who were all cast correctly. So they knew they were part of making a difference, and it was super exciting for all of us.
Tell us about Significant Other.
Significant Other by Josh Harmon is about a young gay man in New York City in his mid-20s and his inner circle of gal pals who they all went to college together. And each one of his gal pals meets someone, falls in love, gets engaged, gets married, while he's still looking for love. And by the end, he's kind of alone, and it's a very bittersweet but funny comedy.
What was the audition process like?
Yeah, so we just put it out in the universe on Facebook page, social media, of course, and very transparent about what I'm looking for, what the playwright wants the characters to be. And I've been super fortunate that I've had some amazingly talented people come out and was able to cast both shows,
How important is it for you to cast somebody who fits the role specifically?
Well, that's part of my mission, and it's important because nobody does that, and I want to be able to contribute to the performing arts community, but as well as the LGBTQ+ community.
Now moving on to the upcoming Voices in Alliance show, The Inheritance Part 1, which opens on November 3rd. How has the production been different than the last 2 shows that you've done?
So The Inheritance Part 1 by Matthew Lopez is, first, it's an epic piece. It's a 3-hour play with 12 characters, so 12 actors. So it's my biggest one yet in scope on many different levels. And since we can't be in this performing arts space until the week before we open, so we just have to rehearse wherever we can. And we're also doing it in the round, so will be audience on all 4 sides, which makes it challenging for me as well as the actors, because they kind of have to unlearn their traditional theater habits. And yeah, but I think they're all super excited because they know the show is super important, has a lot of great messages about especially the gay community, as it applies to a generation of men who lived or did not make it through the 80s and the AIDS epidemic, and the new generation of men who may not realize we are still living of the impact from the AIDS crisis.
How does The Inheritance fit in your stated mission statement?
Oh, it fits perfectly because the whole story is about the evolution of queer men, for this particular story, who lived through the AIDS epidemic, and now the current generation of men who don't really quite understand that we're still living the implications from what happened in the 80s and 90s. And there's a lot of intersecting stories in the story that takes place around Eric and Toby, or the couple, and two people come into their lives that kind of change their trajectory. And it's really hard to talk about the show without giving spoilers, so I'll just have to leave it at that. You'll have to come see the show to find out.
Tell us about the audition process for The Inheritance Part 1.
Oh, it was a little more challenging because we had original auditions, and then there were people who still wanted to audition, so I had to bring some people back and have callbacks, and it took me a little bit longer to cast this one than normal. But that's okay, because it's important for me as a director to get the absolute right people for the right roles, and I think I did.
Now, The Inheritance is sponsored by Yahoo, the Nebraska Arts Council, and the Nebraska Cultural Endowment. How important for the production are these sponsorships?
Oh, I mean, the arts are not possible without the generosity of individuals, corporations, and for Yahoo, they specifically have a component of their giving specifically for LGBTQ organizations or projects. So I was super fortunate to meet the right person, and that's how that happened. And then for the Nebraska Arts Council, they're super supportive of all the arts. You just have to go and apply, and it's a process, but super fortunate to have them on board and supportive of the organization.
And how has production changed because of the sponsorships?
Well, there are a lot of costs. Royalties to the play itself. You have to buy the scripts up front. And then I also paid my actors, which is not as common in Omaha as it is in other big professional theater cities. So that's kind of where most of the money goes to, because the show is done simply in terms of I don't have a large set, but I do have some designers I'm also paying for. I have a lighting designer, a costume designer for this show, where I have not had that in the past.
Can you tell us about some future projects?
Well, nothing's set in stone, because technically I have to buy the rights before I can announce anything, but The Inheritance Part 1 is not an incidental title. There is actually a Part 2. When they did it on Broadway, you could see Part 1 and then Part 2, so it's a 6-hour piece of theater if you do it all together, which I'm not. So maybe Part 2 will be next year. Hint, hint. No, thank you for this opportunity, Benjamin. I appreciate this, and your support means the world to me.
Matrix Jana. الجزارون دفع رسوم المحل ومواطنون يعبرون عن
Restronti braso ta brasol nisa baran shob negurat kabots membrot imas wek haimka wires